About a year ago, I was introduced to True Niagen, a supplement specifically designed to boost a key cellular resource called NAD. That's short for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. And I was really impressed with the research that showed that increased NAD levels can promote cellular repair, maintain healthy mitochondria, and increase energy throughout the trillions of cells in our body. I've been taking True Niagen ever since, and I am truly persuaded, which is why I'm so excited to welcome them back to the program. Let's get into how True Niagen works. From age 40 to 60, humans can experience a 50% decline in NAD, leaving our cells with a shortage of that incredibly valuable energy resource. Additionally, things like immune stress, poor diet, even alcohol consumption can all deplete our cell NAD levels. Research suggests that increased NAD can support cellular defense against these physiological stressors. True Niagen is designed to boost NAD levels and is backed by clinical research and regulatory approvals. Now, while the research is still evolving, I am truly impressed by the possibilities surrounding NAD and the research behind True Niagen. And I suggest you check out their information for yourself. To learn more about the research, science, and to order your supply of True Niagen supplement, visit drdrew.com/TrueNiagen and use the code DREW at checkout for a special discount on orders of 3 bottles or more. So that's my website, drdrew.com/TRUNIAGEN, and use the code DREW today.
Hey, everyone. It's a dose of Dr. Drew.
It is indeed. Try it out. And we have with us, of course, the great and only TYRUS. You can follow TYRUS at Planet TYRUS. You see it down there on the screen. And hey, man, how you doing?
Maintaining, Doc. How are you doing? I was a little concerned about your text today. You said you're lost.
I will get there. I got to work myself up to it. Right now, okay. A couple things I want to review. I'm going to give people a chance to come on, pile on in here in our chat room. Some really interesting data. University of Washington, who puts out the graphs about the COVID outbreaks. Dr. Charles Murray is the chief what would we call him, academic in charge of the operation. And they now, in their data, have included projections with going as we are versus projections with us wearing masks universally and perfectly. And the difference is stunning. This is the first time somebody has taken a quantitative analysis of the benefit of wearing masks. And literally, in California, the daily death rate goes from 47 to 11. And there's something like 40,000 total deaths prevented in the United States if we wear these damn masks. So I've been advocating the masks right along. I understand the resistance. I get it. It's a hassle. But here now is quantitative analysis telling us how many literally lives will be saved. Not much risk in California, particularly as it pertains to hospitals. We're going to be fine. Arizona, you're going to be fine. I just saw an interview with the hospital administrator. They're going to be fine. But we could have a lot of sick people unnecessarily if we don't wear the masks. I'm looking at the United States. The United States, the daily death rate would go from 534 down to 132. The daily infection rate would go from 64,000 to 11,000. This is by August 15th, man. This is only a month away. And the death rate would go, the overall deaths would go by September from 160,000 to 140,000. So think about wearing those masks, everybody. That's my pitch to start out with. So there you go. That's me. So what about the Confederate?
I think that's great. You know what? Because this is important, and I know you're a doctor, so sometimes doctors just stick to the fact. But I'm on boots on the ground. I was wearing the mask everywhere I went, and then I got to a point of, well, I'm just going into the store, or well, I'm just going to go here.
I get it. I totally get. I get all of it. I really do get it. But this is here now. You can look at these graphs. Go to COVID-19.health.
Oh no, I agree with you.
No, not you. I mean, the people that are listening to us. If they have any resistance, go look at these damn graphs. It's very impressive. Very impressive.
I think the issue isn't necessarily the masks. I think the problem is we have two things that I've noticed across the board, whether it's coronavirus, whether it's political views, or whether it's how you're looking at a situation with police brutality. No one has the ability to apologize or accept an apology. And the other thing is no one can backtrack and say, oops, I was wrong on that, so I'm going to change that. Perfect example. Imagine the fallout if President Trump started wearing a mask.
Right.
Would the press be, President Trump has decided to wear a mask to encourage all Americans to wear masks? Or would the headline be, after months of being wrong and blowing it, the president wears a mask?
Of course.
Is it too late?
Of course.
That's just the president of the United States. And then it kind of trickles down to where people are more concerned with being ridiculed for being wrong than they are actually willing to take the chance of switching up. And I think a lot of it's justified because you can't apologize anymore.
Well,
if you make a mistake.
Let's talk about apologies, because apologies have become the modern day proselytizing. In other words, the people on the social media are out there with their cancellation guillotine and are telling people they must apologize, and then they apologize. It's literally like during a great awakening or something, a religious awakening, when they went, sinners repent, and they go, okay, I'll repent. It's not enough. It's never enough, and that's the problem.
Well, no, the apology is the admission of guilt now. You're wrong, you apologize, but that's not enough because you're wrong and you have to go. So that's what I feel. So I'm wondering now, is it even...
That's crazy, because that leaves no possibility. It leaves no room for learning. It leaves no room for changing and learning, growing.
And how are we supposed to change? And like, I still don't have a problem with saying that I was wrong. Originally, when coronavirus came out, I did not think it was going to be a big deal. You know, I barely paid attention to it. I'm like, yeah. Just like SARS, just like Ebola. Yeah. You know, and then when I was clearly wrong, I was like, you know what? Damn, I had no idea. And I was the first one to say, start social distancing and, follow the lockdown orders. We have to do those things. In the beginning, I was not. And I have no problem admitting that I was off. I'm not an expert, but I still realize I have a voice and a platform. And, but there are people who are like, how could you bend to them? I'm not bending to them.
Just growing.
I'm accepting science as fact.
Yeah.
And, like my big face, I have to get custom made masks. And on top of that, the accoutrement to my big face is a beautiful, multicolored flowing beard, which is not the greatest thing in the world for wearing masks. But
I get it.
I do it not because I'm making a political statement, because I don't want to pass my germs on to somebody else, because the mask can't necessarily protect me from other people, but it protects other people from me.
Well,
so
there's actually some data. There's some data out now that shows when two people are wearing masks, the transmission rate is very unlikely.
Right,
so
because
it really is both sides. It's both sides. So for a while we were saying, well, it just prevents the person sick, but it turns out having both people in masks, it helps a great deal. In fact, New York City now is allowing elevator traffic up to 10 people. They're being advised not to talk, but wearing masks, they're confident, will prevent even 10 people from getting sick. That's crazy.
So, I mean, the COVID's bad enough, but now we're dealing with pride and anger and whataboutisms. And you've said it a million times, whenever medicine is mixed with politics, nothing good comes from it.
It's the worst.
And
I want to clarify something that it's kind of interesting. One of the comparisons I was making that was wrong was comparing this to H1N1, which killed 500,000 people worldwide, almost killed me. It was a terrible infection. Let's be clear. We are now at 479,000 deaths worldwide for COVID, and we ain't done with this thing. So it is now officially passing H1N1 in terms of worldwide deaths.
But I think that's more of a sickness that we need to fix in terms of being able to go, hey, I was wrong on that one, and so I'm going to do it this way, and not have your life ruined, especially when you have a platform, have it dismantled because you got it wrong. I mean, we're human beings. I think the fact that we live in But now, and here's the thing: the mob is not as deep as we think it is. They're just on social media. Most
but I got to tell you,
aren't.
I was studying the French Revolution because I'm starting to get fascinated with that period because we're in something similar right now, and the mobs then weren't that big either.
Agree.
What's that? Oh, you broke up a little bit.
You're right.
Yeah.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah, the mobs weren't that big then. They were just violent, and they could carry out their will. And especially when a government doesn't step up and contain a mob, it will go. You don't need a lot of people to create a lot of problems.
No, and we're seeing that. Because the problem is we're trying to have a conversation that needs to be had, but in most cases, both sides are finished talking already.
Yeah. But that's
because
like religion,
no one's
right?
willing.
It's like people talking about religion. It's very weird.
Yeah, and it's very well. Like I said, I've said it. I'm very concerned about the results of the upcoming election and how they're going to be perceived and how they're going to be accepted. When we can't accept apologies right now from somebody with a difference of opinion, and then when we do apologize, we're guilty. And I just I think that is one of the bigger problems with the COVID virus, with the information that we need to look at as this is a universal threat. And it's not a trick. It's not hyperbole. It's not, there's no wonder drug out there that's going to take it away.
We're doing a lot better. I got to say the data on dexamethasone is really impressive. I mean, I would be taking that pretty quick if I got sick from this.
But we're still, like I said, we're waiting. But I just, for example, this weekend we had the president's campaign rally, which I was quite open. I didn't think it was the best of ideas with potential for passing COVID around.
Absolutely, 100%.
And the numbers, however, leave all the conspiracy theories out or whatever, the numbers weren't as big as one might expect for a President Trump rally. Where I looked at it as, wow, people are really taking COVID seriously more than I thought.
Interesting.
But that still was a large turnout given the circumstances of a pandemic that we're going on with an uptick, especially in the Oklahoma area. So, but instead of that being the story was President Trump chinking his armor. Nobody showed up. The other side was, well, protesters kept it, and people on the internet, like everyone had an argumentative excuse to blame the other side instead of going. It appears that more people chose to watch at home for fear of the coronavirus, and that would have been something that you could build off on and maybe have the conversation about what do we do next in terms of making things safer when people are in public. But we can't even get there because too busy. We got the entire whole world, or at least the world of TV that we watch, is focused on, haha, got you. You did it. It's your fault. No, it's your fault. And that's the bigger disease, I think.
Yeah, that haha, got you is just such a crazy, childlike kind of impulse. It's so wild to me.
Wasn't it like TikTokers or something that got behind it? Or
Yeah. It may have been.
But it wasn't,
who knows?
The campaign first said it was, and they said they weren't affecting it. And, regardless, if the COVID virus wasn't here, I'm pretty sure that his campaign rally would be about the same as the other ones. I think, let's, instead of focusing on but that's the whole point, is that there's a chink in his armor. Like, no one showed up. His base is leaving him. I mean, that's the story, and then the story on the other side is the protesters are threatening people's lives. And I kind of chuckled at that because I can't see a MAGA guy saying that he was turned away from seeing his president by a hippie with a bat. I just don't. I don't see that happening.
Didn't pass the sniff test. Yeah.
No, I just don't see that happening. I don't think in Oklahoma too. Yeah, I don't. That would have been a bad day for the protesters trying to hold back. I don't think that would have been a wise choice. So.
Hey, again, what do you speaking? I was speaking earlier about the French Revolution. What do you make of Mitch McConnell bringing up the French Revolution today? Did you see that?
No, I missed that. Fill me in.
Let me. I just saw it come by on Twitter. Let's see what he did. Connell.
Oh, Mitch. What's Mitch up to now?
Revolution. He said, what?
Exactly.
He what he was talking about, I think, was the something about there were some elections yesterday, right? And I think he was saying that they were sort of eating themselves. But it's wild.
Because I mean, he's talking about the Democratic primaries.
Yes,
where AOC had a huge turnout, and then the other guy got blown out of the water.
Yes,
by an AOC backed. So I think they're probably a little alarmed, or they assume that. And again, it's still small in terms of but I think the AOC is a bigger threat to them than they thought. I think that she is gaining popularity, and that's okay. If you believe in that, if you support her, then great. I personally don't agree with her on much, but at the same time, I can acknowledge and respect that there's a large community that does support her. So when she comes to the table, you got to pay attention.
It may not have been McConnell. What's the guy from South Carolina?
Come on. Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham. It might have been Lindsey Graham.
Good old Mr. Graham.
Let's see if it was him that said this, because it's not coming up on a Google search. Lindsey has bizarre meltdown over the French Revolution. Okay, let's see what that is. Yeah. Alexandria Cortez.
Mitch is off the hook.
Yeah. He said, it appears the French Revolution has now come to the Democratic Party based on initial primary results from New York and Kentucky. If you had any doubts about who is in charge of the Democratic Party, all doubts should have been removed. Does that mean he's saying the left? Is that what he means?
Yeah, I think he's saying AOC and the extreme left, as she's characterized, is taking over the party, or in just this particular district. Again, whenever the other side, that's like asking your ex-wife to critique your new marriage. I don't think it's going to be favorable. It's just, let Lindsey critique the right and let the left critique the left, because I guarantee you it's going to be a one-star review. And the 1 star was because he had to put a star. He said, you got to put 1 star to have for it recorded.
He said every elected Democrat in office and every Democrat running for office lives in fear of the mob and the squad. That was his latest.
Right. And then the Democrats will come back with every Republican running lives in fear of Trump.
Yeah.
So,
all this craziness is what's got me upset. None of it makes any sense to me. It all looks ridiculous. It makes me fly off the rails with anxiety. I don't recognize my country. I don't recognize politics. What's going on? Get me back on the rail here. Come on now, Tyrus. Get me gaffed on board.
I think you have to look at it for what it is. My golden rule, if it comes from one side discussing the other side, I don't read it. Because I know
that's everything. That's everything.
You just got to realize that if Lindsey's talking about it, they had a good day. If the Democrats talk about something Trump's doing, he must have had a good day. So you yourself to use common sense and integrity when you read these stories. I look at everything like it's a wrestling show. AOC won her match.
That's interesting.
And then Lindsey Graham comes out with a microphone and tells her that that's not going to stand. And when I see you in the pay-per-view in 2 months, game on. So you just have to. It's a theater. It's production. It's what's going to get the headline. What's going to get me on TV this week. Not necessarily sticking with policy, because the real concern should be for Republicans. Are they going to continue to control the Senate? Are they going to get some things passed? Whatever happened to infrastructure?
Whatever happened? Wait.
Things like that.
Whatever happened to infrastructure? This is the kind of stuff I think to myself, and I go, what are they doing? And then I look at my local politics and my state politics, and I think, oh my God, we're just off the rail everywhere.
That's why you have to make a personal decision to be on the sideline and look shocked, or roll your sleeves up and get in it. If you're not going to run, find someone to support, find something to get behind. I personally, and I know you hem and haw about it, but I really think you could do some good in California. I think if there was anyone to bring common sense approach, coupled with passion and love for their state and their country, is you, Dr. Drew. Like, you have been the voice of reason for decades, and you have a track record. And here's one thing I'm not saying I respect you a lot, and I don't like doctors. Just keep.
I hear you.
The biggest thing I like about you is that you're one of the very few people on a platform as large as yours to say, "Hey, folks, I got this one wrong, and here's what I'm going to do to make it right." It's not forgotten. It's not tucked under the rug. It's not a conspiracy theory. You didn't blame it on your wife, and I admit I did counsel you to blame it on her.
I know.
Sorry, but I already apologized.
It was just a strategy, Susan. Don't worry.
It was just quick. Sorry. It was off the cuff. It was early, and I was like, "Your wife did it."
It was me.
She has a glass of Chianti. She loses her mind and starts writing stuff. But the point is that you have a voice, you have a platform, and I think you have a good plan, especially for California. I mean, you've been invested in the betterment of California for a long time.
So much of what we're dealing with in California is real human suffering, and I know exactly how to deal with it. And the nudniks, the kooks that run our state, seem to be hell-bent on making things so much worse. So much worse. Where they're, that's one of the reasons you and I, last time we talked a lot about qualified immunity with Anahita Setigatfar. And that's why I got focused on qualified immunity. She used to come on my radio program, and I'd say, Anahita, can't we get rid of this? Because I want to go after these politicians. I want to go after them personally for killing people. They are. And the thing, this is ignorance. This is negligence writ large.
Because, and the problem with that is that we'd have to ask politicians to let the dogs off. They have those things in place for a reason, so they can worry about a re-election opposed to taking care of the people. And I honestly think, I don't think you would ever be concerned with being reelected opposed to doing the right thing for your community.
I can't.
Even if it wasn't popular. I couldn't see you going, well, we could cut funding for this. But it's gonna hurt my reelection bid. It's gonna hurt. So you know what? Let's just not do that. We'll just, we'll put it off. I can see you saying, let's get it done, and we'll worry about the other stuff later.
Oh my God!
And we need more people.
I wouldn't even know how to think about it any other way,
but that comes from life experience and what I call, boots on the ground. I mean, you've been in it, you've seen it, you've practiced medicine, you put yourself under a microscope. So I feel like I'm not giving you a pep talk, but I just feel like more people need to do that. I think Killer Mike, for all his great speeches, needs to get in politics in Atlanta. It's one thing to come on a TV show and have some great ideas and make people think. It's another thing to roll up your sleeves and take the damn job on.
Well, see, for me, I would tell you when you say that, I immediately get excited because I would love to form coalitions with people like that and just, build unlikely coalitions, because that's what's necessary right now, because the entrenched parties are just waste of time.
Yeah, you got to start reaching out to guys who have completely different opinions than you, because somewhere in the middle you can make things work. And
hey, you mentioned that you wanted to talk about the Confederate flag. And speaking of the Confederate flag, we are likely going to have John Snyder in here next week, who drove around a big Confederate flag, didn't he? Wasn't that on the?
Yes, he did. The Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah,
and there's a huge and I spoke to him today a little bit about it, because I was contacted by my high school, because I played for the Quartz Hill Rebels. I went to school for the Quartz Hill Rebels. And the LA Times contacted me and asked me if they could ask me questions about how I felt about the school mascot being the Rebel. And they were discussing taking it down.
And the Rebel was explicitly a Confederate soldier.
Yeah, he was carrying a Confederate flag.
Yeah.
And then the New York Post picked it up. So
what city was that
in? Quartz Hill, California. And originally, Johnny Rebel was designed to be, there was a rebellion from building the school in Lancaster. So they called themselves the Rebels because they built the school in Quartz Hill. Mm-hmm. That was the original idea behind the mascot. It had absolutely no connection to the Confederacy. But shortly after Johnny Rebel was put into practice, he immediately was carrying a Confederate flag.
Right.
So blew whatever plan they had out of the water. And
Right.
I just, as I said in the article, as a teenager, I never understood why we were Confederate rebels, seeing how we were in California. And I couldn't think anything was more un-American than succeeding from the United States. So,
although California is once again contemplating that, just FYI.
Yeah, every year, yeah. The problem is, there's 5 different new states in California. Every time they have a spat over water, I get it.
Hey, before you go on, I've got to talk to some people on the chat, the Restream chat. Trey Massey, hey man, see you. I see you. Woolly Mammoth, that's very funny, which is now our school's mascot at Amherst College, because we had to get rid of the Lord Jeff because Lord Jeff killed Indians with smallpox. So that history we took care of. And Monique is talking about humility and the importance of humility and how destructive tribalism is, and I totally agree with all that. 100%. But how to manage that, it's a little trickier than you might imagine, because people are we are all, because I saw this coming, I know what's underneath all of it, which is trauma. And trauma creates rigidity and defensiveness and all or nothing thinking, and that's part of how people get radicalized on either side.
We're seeing that.
Radical. That's right.
Because my point was this: I don't think the Confederate flag has any place at a high school. I don't think anyone should be forced to have to look at a flag that you can draw conclusions to the history. You wouldn't, in Germany, you wouldn't see a school with a Nazi flag hanging on it. So, right. But at the same time, and John Stein is a perfect example, when it comes to entertainment, or let's say my neighbor wants to have a Confederate flag on his license plate. I live here in Louisiana. There's a good chance somewhere in here, someone's going to have one on their license plate. That's his choice.
Yeah.
That's his right. I have no issue with that. And if I don't like it, I don't have to look at his car. I don't live with him. I'm not forced to see it every morning. It's not part of permanency. Like, oh, look at that flag. I hate it. Right. Yeah. But it's not an issue. There's a difference. The Dukes of Hazzard was a show about 2 Southern guys running from the crooked lawn, etc. But they never used the Confederate flag to promote anything but a cool car that jumps over lakes, and it seems to be just a little bit faster than the police cars.
Yeah.
The thing about the Dukes of Hazzard, if I did not like seeing that Confederate flag, guess what? I could change the channel. I could choose not to watch that show, and then someone else can watch it. So there's the difference. I think the General Lee on the Dukes of Hazzard is fine. Do I think it hanging into my high school where different people are forced to deal with it? I just don't think Confederate flags should be used in anything permanent or anything that you have to see without wanting to see it. I think there's a difference there.
You brought up an interesting point with a Nazi flag, which is that flags that have been associated with horrors, we generally don't tolerate. And I'm right now, I'm thinking about like Scotland, right? Scotland and England were at war for 1,000 years or something, and Scotland still flies the saltire, right? Isn't that what they call it, saltire? The white and blue flag, and it's a rebel flag. It's their rebel flag, and now they're thinking about they want to secede and they want to be independent. Blah 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 blah. So it's had some very problematic consequences for something called the United Kingdom, if that's something that wants to continue. But there was no horror that I'm aware of attached to the Scottish history.
Well, if you ask Scotland about the horror that Britain caused them.
Well, right. That's right.
Yeah,
there was a lot of, I mean, watch, what's Mel Gibson's movie?
Braveheart.
Braveheart, yeah. You can see what was going on there. And that went on for generations, by the way. But again, the saltire is a rebel flag, but wasn't itself associated with anything bad. Nazis, horror. Confederate flag, I don't think we've bought our history.
We haven't owned up to our history. Uncomfortable truth.
Yeah, we have we've not consolidated our history. We've said
we have to own it, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah, I think that's the whole problem. Well, not the whole problem, but that's a big piece. And I know myself, when I studied that period of history, I'm like, what? Oh my God, what? How is this not, really common lexicon in everyday parlance about history of the United States? But for African American families, That history is palpable, right?
Yeah, and it's still fresh. It's not. You still could have a great grandparent who was a slave. It's not that far away.
And I'm not just talking about that horror. I'm also talking about the Reconstruction horror after the Civil War, which
and then and then you got the Jim Crow Act,
and then the Jim Crow horror. That's right. So to say, well, this was just a flag that bound people rallied and it's named for independence from the Union, blah 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 blah. Yeah, but
it could mean that to that individual.
Yeah.
And just like if an individual wants to carry a Nazi flag in his home, as much as I think that's ridiculous and stupid, it is his right in the United States. And just like I want my freedoms, he's entitled to his. But that doesn't mean I need to see it over a public freeway, over a public monument, or over a high school. I think those things, there's no place for it.
And
but
let's keep
if somebody wants to have one in their own home, then sure.
I'm gonna keep drilling.
I'm not gonna have one.
Yeah, no. And the strange thing about the Nazi symbolism is people tattoo that. They strangely put it on their body.
Again.
Yeah. What the hell?
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other issue. You want to be noticed so bad, you're doing dumb shit. But that's their belief. That's whatever. I think whether we like it or not, a person has a right in this country to be racist all he wants to, just like we have the right to not put up with that stuff. But there are consequences. Chances are, if you get a Nazi tattoo on your chest, and you're probably not going to get that job you wanted. I mean, so there didn't used to be consequences for that. There are consequences now. Mm-hmm. There's a story in Quartz Hill that went with this, with a bunch of teenagers that went to Quartz Hill, decided to paint their face all black and say a bunch of racial stuff and post a video. And they were so clever and they were so awesome. And when I was asked about it, I said, in about 5 years, they're going to want to get a job.
Yeah.
Ask every Democratic politician who literally was 70, 25 years ago, 30. Is this you in blackface, sir? Like, it will come back on you. Your life will be affected because the country has changed. That is no longer acceptable behavior. You might get away in the short term. You might get your picture in the paper, but eventually your life, your personal life is going to be deeply affected. And you're going to come on Twitter and be like, I'm sorry, I was just a teenager, but it's not going to change the results of you not being able to get that job. So, we do have change, and you do have to respect people's rights to demonstrate and feel the way they want to feel. And I'm trying to come on this on not my personal beliefs, because I have absolutely no use for the flag at all. But I'm trying to understand that there are people in this country who do. I just think that we can agree to disagree on that. I can respect your issues, but I don't want that. I don't want my kids seeing that flag in high school. I don't think there's no place for it at school.
Yeah, right. How do you feel about monuments being taken down, that kind of thing right now?
I think, again, going back to, I see no difference between a Confederate monument and a Confederate flag being held in a public venue for people to see. If you want to go to that park and you have to see that flag, I think it's wrong with that statue. I think we should change out
because here when people
I don't think you should rip them down. I think they should be placed into a museum somewhere.
Right. That's right. That's what I think too. Right. It should be in museums.
I don't think you should be you should rip down any private property.
Yeah.
You're not protesting if you throw a bunch of ropes and pull a statue down. You're rioting and you're defaming private and public property. I don't think that's the answer. I think the answer is you can take them down and you can put them in the museum to where anybody wants to see them and talk about their celebrated past or uncelebrated. I mean, again, let's remember you lost.
Yeah. I mean, what I think about.
But again, that's not my heritage.
You ever been to Savannah, Georgia?
Yeah.
So when I think about tearing down statues, I think about Savannah. It's totally organized around squares with either a Civil War Confederate or a Revolutionary War monument. There's maybe hundreds of them, and they're beautiful. So to your museum point, why don't they make each of those squares a museum? Would that be okay?
I think it shouldn't be in plain sight for public.
Okay, that's going to change. I feel like Savannah will never be the same. That's what I worry about.
But that's what happens with change, because I'm sure Berlin looks a lot different now than it did back then.
Yeah,
we have to accept change and move forward. It might not be as beautiful, but you know what? Put new monuments up. We've had some amazing things happen in this country. in the last 400 years. We've had some amazing people in this country.
Let me push back again.
Across the board.
What if they had put plaques up talking about educating about the horrors and what this represents and how people, you know what I mean?
I think plaques and things I think that's acceptable. I think you could have a plaque, or you could make mention of something. I just think when you get into monuments and flags, it's almost an honoring of that particular individual, and I don't think General Lee is somebody that needs to be honored.
Well, these are there's not.
I think you can go see him in a museum.
Yeah, it's not the ones I'm talking about. If you look at Savannah, Georgia, it's not it's not the big generals and things. It's like local people that fought. But anyway,
again. But that'd be like you go to Berlin and they have the local.
Yes, sir. Yes, this is a viable
troops.
Yeah, this is a viable conversation. I totally agree with you.
Time to move on. That's an ugly history, and it's not. We have to move on from it. Doesn't mean you can't acknowledge it in your privacy of your own home. Absolutely.
Or in a museum. Did you see the row around the Emancipation Monument in D.C. where Abraham Lincoln is in the statue?
Right.
I agree. Now people are going to hate on me. I agree very strongly that one needs to go. Very strongly.
Right. I think so too.
And I think if you don't, I think in a weird way, that statue is kind of an acid test for, I need a new word. You got to help me, Tyrus. What some people call white supremacy, but it's more like white perspective. You know what I mean? You just see your own perspective.
Yeah, I think it's what I always called it was polite racism.
Okay, sorry, it's polite racism. I like that. So, and Frederick Douglass, I actually took a picture. I copied a couple pages of his speech at the consecration of that monument. In fact, I feel like I need to read it. Can I give you a couple of words?
Kick knowledge, doctor.
Frederick Douglass. This is 12 pages into his speech. The guy was an orator. I mean, the guy was one of the greatest orators of all time. But he says, President Lincoln was preeminently the white man's president, entirely devoted to the welfare of the white man. He was ready and willing to, at any time during the first years of administration, to not deny, postpone, and sacrifice the rights of humanity and the colored people to promote the welfare of the white people of this country. That is accurate. That is true.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And now everyone knows that he was racist, and people go, "Oh, that was the time." This is above and beyond that. He saw.
No, he was top of the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was top of the line. Yeah. Abe, he wasn't having one in his house.
He came into his arguments in furtherance of the slavery policy had their motive in manspring and his patriotic devotion to his own race. To protect, defend, and perpetuate slavery in the states where they existed. Remember, he wanted to not allow it to spread. That was his thing. But he ultimately stopped that. He ultimately, in his debates with Stephen Douglas, started saying, "Wait a minute, this is wrong. This is wrong." And you, Stephen Douglas, this is where you and I disagree.
Was it that so much, or was it that the South wasn't bending? Was it that he was starting to lose the war a little bit? Was it that they were getting nervous? And then when the emancipation was more a shot at the South, trying to tax more about taxation than necessarily. He all of a sudden had a moment where he was like, "All my brothers need to be free." I think it was more as this is really going to stick to him, and let's not be shot. That's a lot of men who can hold guns and win a war for you.
Oh no, 100%.
You free the slaves, and those slaves will come line up and fight for you, and then turn the war. I mean,
I've done a lot of reading about Abraham Lincoln. Somehow I got fascinated with it, and he was a tactical politician. Yep. He was a consummate politician. He was tactical, and that was a tactical thing. Though he also had a moral philosophy that he was constantly refining. And if you read the Lincoln-Douglas debates, you'll see him he finally, you see him wake up and go, "Wait a minute, the difference between you and me, Stephen Douglas, is I say this thing is wrong, and you say people should be allowed to have what do they call it, where they go to the territories and decide their own destiny." He goes, how can you manifest something that is wrong? And he felt that way, but he still saw it from the prism of his priorities as a European, right? And so that's why it looked that way to Frederick Douglass. So, no, I think that one needs to go.
You're doing something that you said a couple things there that's probably got some people going, he did what?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
educated yourself, you read on something,
Yeah.
you formed your own opinions based on the facts you saw before you, and then you brought a formulated argument based on factual events to educate. I learned something that I didn't know because I had a vague idea about some stuff with Abraham Lincoln, but I haven't gone that much into him because I'm raising kids and mine are still little, so I'm hands are full.
And
but
fish,
the point is,
and fish,
and fish, and but the point is, that's what we're missing right now. What you just did right there, from the people on the pundits, from
I know
celebrities, when they run their mouths, they're not bringing anything behind it. They're just saying sound bites to get attention. But there's people that are taking time to educate while they're speaking. This isn't coming from a place of my high moral ground. Here's some facts, and then if someone challenges you, well, here's the book. Read it, draw your own conclusions. It's in the book. Like my history teacher, Mr. Ray, used to say, it's in the book, Murdoch. It's in the book.
Well, and I'm saying, and I'm telling you, you can read the man's words. You don't have to read some historian's interpretation. Just read the Lincoln-Douglas debates. He said slavery, Stephen, I'm remembering some words now. He said, Stephen Douglas, you say that slavery can be voted up or voted down. He goes, how can you vote up or vote down something that is wrong? You can't do that. You don't get to do that. And that was in the second to last debate, if I remember right. And when he finally crystallized his opinion, and then he lost the Senate seat because people weren't ready for that. They were not ready for that.
But he didn't care, and that's what I'm telling you to run. He did the right thing. He did not. See, I brought it all together.
You brought it back. I see it.
I brought it all together.
Mm-hmm.
But he did what he had to do, knowing that probably they weren't ready for it, and it would cost them an election.
Yeah.
Not, let me get reelected first, and we'll come back to it.
Yeah, and he had some powerful people, some sitting senators and state Congress people that were not happy with him. They were pissed at him.
No, but sometimes you've got to go through that to make the right change. And I don't think we have politicians in office today that have the guts to do that. Mitch ain't going to do anything to hurt his reelection. And that's a problem. And that's not just him. That's everybody, unfortunately. I think the last time I saw somebody who did what he felt was right, and he was persecuted for it, was the late, great John McCain.
Yeah, that's true.
He came out and he said thumbs down because he didn't believe it. He didn't go with party. He went with his principle.
Mm-hmm.
Love it, hate it, disagree with it, bash him, whatever you want to say. Probably hurt him in the Republican Party, but he did the right thing. And you cannot do anything but respect a man who does what he thought was best, opposed to, let me just go with the flow because I want to be reelected.
And let me finish my thought about that emancipation statue. Go look at pictures of it, not from the standpoint of an American history, of a white person of European descent, of any degree of immigration, whenever you immigrated here, looking at a great leader versus what that statue would look like if you had families that had been emancipated by him. Let's say you thought he did a great job, but look at it through that prism and then look at that damn statue and just go, what the hell were they thinking? What the hell were they thinking?
Exactly.
And they need to change that. So that's the one that got me, where I was like, yep, that one I'm totally on board with. It's humiliating. It's disgusting.
The country needs a makeover. We got to change some things from the past, clean it up. We've got a lot of cool things that we've done. Let's put some man on the moon statues up. Let's put some of the stuff we've done. We've got a lot of things in this country that we've done over the last, that have changed the world as we know it.
Yeah.
And let's do that. Let's start honoring
get me back on.
some modern day warriors.
I'm still not in the I'm still not running in the rails yet. I still feel very frightened and concerned and worried about where we're going and how things are going to work out. Get me left on board. How do you see things going forward?
I think whenever there's change, there's always going to be outcry and a whole lot of opposition and angry yelling. I think the good news is that the vast majority of it has been on social media, angry stuff. We do have protests and we do have rioting and looting, but in terms of that, we don't have complete Armageddon. And we're seeing we're seeing changes. We're seeing things happen that are positive. Everyone's talking. Maybe at this point, everyone's talking over each other, but eventually people are going to start listening. And I think that we're going to go through probably a little bit more of the whole yelling, pointing fingers, and then people are going to start sitting down and come together.
Actually,
because that's how it kind of goes in America.
Yeah, it's true. But what about what our friend Lindsey Graham was talking about with the far left taking over the Democratic Party? Does that concern you?
Not at all, because the Tea Party was supposed to take over. They couldn't. If the far left was taking over, Joe Biden would not be the presidential nominee. I mean, technically, he's not there yet. It wouldn't even be close. Bernie Sanders would have had it in a landslide. Wouldn't have been at all. I think when we look at the fringe, which you always attack the fringe and try to make the fringe look like everybody else, because you create a threat that's not real. Very, very savvy politician move is you pick the smallest group with the loudest voice, and that's what the mass is, and that's who's taking over. And we all go, holy shit, we got to deal with that. But that's not the case. They're the Yorkie of the Democratic Party, but they bark all the time, and they're easy to poke at because they react and they come out. But again, it's the same thing with the extreme far right. You're not a white nationalist, but they want, when they go to the far right and those type of people come out, they want everyone to think that's how the Republican Party is. And so we just have to realize whenever there's a lot of noise, we just need to look at it's a production. It's a really bad TV show, because that's not the reality of it. Because if it was the Democratic Party,
you got me on
Joe
board.
Biden.
You got me on board. Joe Biden is the
That's
my evidence.
nominee.
I see. I respond well to evidence. Speaking of evidence,
an old white man is still rocking the Democratic Party. So
I've got a bunch of questions on my chat about Bubba Wallace and the news story and all that stuff. Any thoughts about that? I'll give you mine if you want, but go ahead.
People are saying that I got a guy who sent me a message today showing pictures of other garages, and it's a tow that kind of resembles a noose.
Yes, it's a garage lift essentially. But let me tell you a piece of the story. I don't know if you know, is that a pit guy went in there and saw it, reported it. Bubba never saw it. He reported it to his pit chief, who was obliged to report it to NASCAR. No one ever saw it before it became an FBI issue. So it was just like a game of telephone that ran amok. And
from what I understand, it was there before.
For years.
The FBI reported that it was there for years.
So. And no one knew that Bubba was going to be in that garage until a couple of days before. They were assigned randomly. Right. So it's a non-issue. But does it bother you that people are bringing these out? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
Like I said, we're having the conversation. I think NASCAR did a great thing. I don't think you should be forced to see the Confederate flag when you go to a car race. If you want to wear a Confederate flag T-shirt, that's your right. NASCAR has made some big strides. Are they going to point, and then maybe they're a little overzealous where everything is a potential problem, and if someone's hung a noose in his garage, then we should deal with it. But then, hey guys, guess what? That's not what it was.
Right.
So you're getting a little bit of overkill, but for a couple centuries of underkill, no problem.
Okay.
I think we can have a little overzealousness, because I think it's very good news that it wasn't what they thought it was.
Right.
I think we could take a collective sigh of release. It's not that bad.
Yes.
It's not that bad.
It'll take a few.
Mechanic.
And by the way, everybody, it may take us a few more versions of this to go. Okay. We got to calm ourselves
I love
down.
when people go full regalia for a good cause, but at least it didn't turn into a ridiculous witch hunt. FBI stepped in. Apparently, they did some forensic stuff, and the rope had been there for a long time. It had actual mechanical use in the garage. So, good.
Hey, by the way, speaking of driving and African Americans, Corolla did a documentary that I think you would love. This guy is Willie T. Ribbs. He's the greatest guy ever. He kind of reminds me of you a little bit. And you should see the documentary. It's called Uppity. called Uppity. They were giving him shit as a driver. I mean, he went through so much grief, and it's on Netflix right now. It's called Uppity. I recommend it highly.
I'll watch it tonight. The wife and I are always looking for movies to watch. So,
you really will thank me for this. You will enjoy it. The guys, and when you come out here one of these days, I'll introduce you to him. He's just the greatest guy. He's such a fun, smart dude. Steve said he saw it and it was awesome. So there are people on the chat here that have seen it and dug it.
Phenomenal. So I don't know if I helped you or not, Dr. Drew.
You did. But you actually did, because I was starting to believe the noise, and it's really hard. You know, I do a news program every night at 7:00. I'm gonna have to blow out of here in a couple of minutes, actually. I
got dinner on the stove. I'm cooking tonight, so
fair enough.
You know,
and it's in my face all the time, and it starts to be upsetting. I'm sensitive and I get upset about it.
You have to remember, Dr. Drew, that the boogeyman in your closet, in your mind, looks kind of like me, big jacked monster. When you open it up, it's just a sock that fell on the floor.
Wait, hold on. Susan suddenly brought herself into the conversation. I'm not sure why.
She heard jacked monster and was like, hello.
Boogeyman? Did I hear boogeyman in your closet?
What about the boogeyman? Why is that?
Didn't you have a boogeyman in your closet this week?
Oh, I see.
Okay, I am not prepared to discuss anything of that nature at this time.
He had some weird coincidences. Everybody. Hey,
it was a setup.
Let me just defend TYRUS's brain, which is we are meaning-making machines. We make meaning of everything we see. That's what our brain does. We make meanings of visual patterns. We make meanings of sequences. We make meanings of everything. So I'll just leave it at that. All right, TYRUS. Well, thank you for being. We need to come up for a name for the TYRUS Wednesdays.
I'll marinate on it.
TYRUS Tuesdays, but it's Wednesday, and maybe next week, Susan, he wants you to set up John Snyder from Dukes of Hazzard, but I think it'll be fascinating.
Yeah, I'll get you to connect. I think it'll be a hell of an interview. We'll have some fun.
Nice.
All right, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna do a little more COVID wrap up, just to give people a little bit of stuff to calm everybody else down as well, because this is really interesting stuff. TYRUS, I will talk to you. Hopefully,
let me fix the screen first. Figure out which. Okay, wait, hold on a second.
You're fixing the screen?
I have to make sure we're on the right screen. You segue. I have to figure out where I'm going next.
We're going just to me on camera for a second.
I'm making spaghetti. I'm leaving.
TYRUS is feeding his fish and making
lovely
spaghetti.
Wife and hope all is well.
Hey, we're coming out to like Atlanta in a few weeks. Maybe we'll come visit you guys or something. All right, talk to you later.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, it would be.
We'll set the table.
All right, man. See ya. That is the great TYRUS at what's his Twitter handle again, Susan? It's
Planet
TYRUS. I want to say TYRUS.
He was on my podcast, and we
don't out him. He can tell.
We
his
had
own
a really
stories.
good time.
Yes, he was on. Had a great job, and his wife did a great job on your podcast.
I know. I'm sorry. I won't do that again. I talked to Christina P today, and she goes, since I had kids, I'm not spiritual. That's why I don't want to do your show. I go, don't worry, I'm not going to ask you. She was a horrible guest, too.
Oh, really?
TYRUS is a great guest, though.
So
she wasn't horrible, but Tom wasn't having it.
All the comedians seem to be bad. Nikki Glaser was a bad guest.
No, she was good. She was
good.
I listened to it later, and it was better than I thought. I think I was just super nervous because we were doing it in our place.
Josette, you should still Clorox your work desk. Yes, you should. So everyone, we should still wash our hands. We should still use Clorox. I'm going to bring UV light into your world. I've got a big UV light here that Susan, I might think I think I might use it in my office.
I'll get it.
Yeah, I need all that stuff. That, by the way, is at 866 Red Hawk. You can get these products I'm about to show you at 866 Red Hawk, which is a UV light that will sterilize a room while you're away. It's on a timer. And we all should have these thermometers, please. And, of course, this is the SAN device for destroying insulin syringes and what people shoot drugs with. We have a needle problem. We have a needle stick problem, and this would eliminate that, everybody. If you run a medical system, if you run a medical spa or something, please think about doing this. It would dramatically reduce your need for biohazardous waste and would also reduce your needle stick outcomes. And, of course, thermometers for all. It's at 866 Red Hawk. If you leave a message there, 866-4 Red Hawk. If you leave a message there, they will call you back, and they can have all this stuff for you. That's 866-473-3429, 866-473-3429.
They're not going to remember that.
29. Can you put it up on the chat?
866-4 Red Hawk.
Well, the problem is in Europe, they don't have letters on their phones. So we had
Any Europeans out there?
We had several calls
Okay,
from Europe who said that.
What's the phone number?
866-473-3429. That is Red Hawk.
And you have to dial a 01.
Yeah. Can I clean my cloth mats with Lysol? Yes, but better just to take your cloth mats and put them in some Woolite or wash them in the washing machine. Yeah, no big deal.
Get the cloth ones.
But I urge you all to go to covid19.healthdata.org and look at these graphs. Visually, I think I'm going to try to turn it around.
covid19.healthdata.org.
The graphs are dramatic in terms of. I just want to turn this one around and see if you can see it. Let's see.
A little higher.
There's a lot of.
Nasty.
Yeah,
right.
kind of.
I mean, I could zoom now.
Let me see if I can get
It's too
there.
dark. Oh, I see. You have to make the screen darker.
So you see, look carefully. As you see there's that big spike in deaths that we had.
Let me go to that page.
And then if you'll see the data there shows that around mid-July it separates. You have to look carefully because this is not easy to see because of all the glare. But you see there's two lines, right? One is the line of what we can expect in terms of daily deaths if we continue as we are. That line that goes towards zero, literally goes towards zero, is how many deaths if we wear our mask diligently. This is the first quantitative analysis I have seen on the benefits of mask. It is these guys are these guys don't fool around. They put their quantitative data is based on currently available wisdom.
Was that the United States
graph?
That
was the United States graph. It was the daily deaths, I think, graph. And California is even more. It was daily infections. I'm sorry. And this is even more dramatic. Look at California. It's dramatic. Let me see if I can. You can kind of see it there. I'm sorry for being so crazy with this, but I'm pretty excited about these graphs because I've been a mask maven, a mask maniac for a while. There we go. You can see it. See that one graph going down towards zero?
I'm getting the graph up on the screen.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's incredible.
Okay, wait. Let's see if this works.
There you go. Well, that's the total death. That's in the United States total deaths that we will save. It'll be 180,000.
What did you want?
I want to go down
daily?
to there you go. Look at that.
Look, I figured out how to do this.
Look at that daily deaths. And look at that graph that's swinging out towards the bottom.
Wow.
Take it over there and let's see how many that actually represents. Hold your cursor there at October.
Here?
Let's say it's September 15th, mid-September. See where September is? Whoop.
Okay, September is over
there. Okay, so projected would be 500 deaths, 100 deaths with universal masks. Now go down to daily infections and testing. Down a little further. There, yeah. I mean, look at this. This is, to me, I'm so excited about this. To me, this is the first.
So September?
Yeah. This is the number of daily infections would be in the United States. We're predicting nearly over 76,000.
But why look at that red line going up? What is
that's sort of if you do nothing and.
Oh, I see.
And
using universal mask is way down here.
Like 10,000. And then I know that's still a lot of cases, and people go, 10,000, but it's for a country our size. And look, we're going to have no trouble with hospitalizations. We're going to be fine. We're fine with hospitals, fine with ICUs. These are really high quality projections. So let me get everybody on the restream, see how they're responding to this.
Let's see.
Yay, Susan, they're saying.
I know. Very proud.
The URL again, M.A. Saunders, is covid19.healthdata.org. Go to.
What do you want?
Go to Arizona because everyone's making a lot of Arizona. You see, just write it in. You have to kind of write it in.
Yeah, it's not. I want United States though.
Oh no, I want.
Where do you write it in?
Well, try Arizona. Scroll it down like you did. Maybe it's not able to do it.
Yeah, but this is all European. Oh, here we go. Arizona.
Okay. There you go. Okay. So Arizona is obviously a lot, but go down further. Go down. No, scroll down.
Daily deaths.
Okay. So look at that. Look at that. So the reason that is so dramatic is you guys have not been behaving yourself in Arizona. You've not been wearing masks. And look at how you could impact the daily
When has Arizona ever behaved themselves?
Well, I'm just showing them with vivid. Go now to, let's go to September 1st. I mean, you'll have 4 deaths versus 35 deaths. So go to the peak there to the left. There. The peak at 52 deaths, you'd have 27 if you wore the damn mask. So go on down to the daily infections. Again, people have made a lot of Arizona. I also want to point out it's a relatively small state. These are not large numbers. And so everyone's like, Arizona. Yeah, Arizona needs to get the shit together a little bit. But go down to daily infections and testing, please. There you go. Again, look at that. Dramatic differences. 3,500 cases versus 450 cases. So here we go. Let's do it. Masks work. It's very important that we get on this.
I don't want another lockdown.
There will not be another lockdown. People will not stand for it. But the reason we're having a tick up is the tick up we all predicted as a result of us loosening up and then congregating in the streets during demonstrations. One of the insane things about these demonstrations is you're not allowed to. It's against the law to ask in New York State if you get COVID. It's against the law to ask if you have been in a demonstration. That is not scientific. That is insane. So a pox on New York for interfering with the practice of science. So again, Jacob, the website is covid19.healthdata.org. They update it about every 10 or 11 days. And I'll bring it up again tomorrow. Susan, we doing something tomorrow here? Anything I should?
Yeah. California looks worse.
California's big. California's a huge state. It takes
yeah, that's true. And it's not as hot.
Do we have a time estimate for tomorrow?
I'm looking for 11 a.m.
Morning. So we're going to do morning tomorrow. I will bring the data back up again. Now that Susan can show it to you all, we'll bring
I'm having fun.
But look, but go back up and show me that hospital utilization data again. See how down.
Hospital
see how flat California is? We flattened the curve in California. That is a flat curve. Mission accomplished. Okay? So whenever people go, oh my God, this is spike is operating. No. Stop it. Do not feed into the panic porn. Do not do it. And then
projected.
Yeah, Alex Berenson is fighting me on this. Somebody is saying, I can't quite read your name. He is debating whether masks work, which is a viable scientific debate. It's fine to debate it. It is fine. Mm-hmm. But I'm bringing data right now to show you that it looks pretty good. In the 1918 influenza epidemic, they used it to great effect. I'm going to say, if you don't want to get this thing, wear the damn mask. Pretty simple. And I understand it's a last straw. You know, mask is not a condom. I understand you did the same thing with HIV, which I'm not going to wear it because they overstated the risk. I get it. You feel like you've been sort of misled a little bit. They're asking you to do a lot of things in terms of opening your business and getting around the world. Still, don't draw the line at the mask. That's the one thing that's really going to make the difference. Okay, I'm going to wrap this thing up. We thank you all for being here today. Thank you to the great TYRUS and Mike Catherwood. You guys were asking for Mike Catherwood, and he is coming tomorrow, hopefully at 11 o'clock.
I think so,
and
yeah. He had to bow out because of his daughter going back to school.
If not, we will do a huge review of the data.
We'll figure it
with
out.
Everybody. So you should feel better, Lisa Rojas. You should feel better. That's the whole point, is this: if you look at things dispassionately and don't get into the panic porn that is the press, you'll feel a lot better. I got better just talking to TYRUS about the reality of all the panic stuff I'm getting inundated by as it pertains to politics. Yeah. It's starting to trouble me. Okay, Susan, we good to go?
Yeah, I'm going to outro with a little Christina P. action.
Okay, we have tape of that?
Well, let's see if it works.
I still feel upset. I stopped having anxiety, and now I feel sad. So I think that's a new thing for me to feel the feeling.
Over her.
There we go. And now I'm going to go. This is my After Dark program, which I would refer you to as well. And this is the great Christina P.
I think she's going to come on. Hold on one second. Let me fix it.
I couldn't hear her, by the way.
I know. I want to hear her, too. So I'm going to fix that. Okay. It's so weird. You have so many things you have to do with this thing. Oh, we should have sound. That's weird. Oh, well. Let's try this one.
I have to run.
I still feel upset. I stopped having anxiety, and now I feel sad. So I think that's a new thing for me to feel the feeling. Since I've stopped overeating compulsively, I've started having things called feelings.
Oh, yes,
and
yes. Novel.
I still feel upset. I stopped having anxiety, and now
And then I told her she was a psychopath because she didn't have feelings.
Was there sound? I want to know.
I was, well.
No, for them.
I'm all closed up. Let me see again. Did you guys hear anything during that, or was there no sound?
I think
they could hear her. They could hear her.
Okay, good, because this end is.
Okay, guys, I got to go. Fox News at 11. Fox News here locally in Los Angeles. Fox 11 at 7. I'll see you there.
Okay, bye.